I was very nervous to come here because I didn't want to let you guys down. I wanted to say something hopefully inspirational. I sat and started writing a speech, and it just felt, I remember being here and people came up here and gave boring speeches, and I said, well, I don't want to be the guy who comes and gives a boring speech. So instead of just reading something to you, I just kind of thought I wrote down a couple notes, and I'd tell you some stories about my time here. And really, I thought, well, what would they want to know if I came here? Maybe something about how I ended up being successful. So hopefully I could distill down to some of the things I did that made a difference in my career. I'm absolutely no different than any of you. I grew up in South Orange. I went to South Orange Middle School. I came here at the same time as Lauryn Hill. Lauryn Hill and I were the two actors who were going into New York City to audition for things. I knew at a very young age I wanted to be an actor. And Lauryn Hill and I would commute into the city and audition for roles, not the same parts. Lauryn was on a soap opera, and then she got Sister Act 2. I couldn't get a job to save my life. No one would hire me. I mean, I got a couple things here and there, but it was very, very humbling. And I remember seeing Lauryn. Finally, when I got into Northwestern, I remember seeing Lauryn in the Fugees. I didn't know that Lauryn was in the Fugees, and I saw an interview where she was like, all of a sudden, she was huge, and she was like, "Yeah, representing Newark," and I was like, "Lauryn, you were representing Maplewood. You were our prom queen. Keep it real." I love Lauryn. What's the biggest thing that led to my accomplishment? Well, I didn't give up. You guys, I started auditioning when I was 13 years old, and I didn't get the thing that made me most famous, Scrubs, until I was 25 years old. Every single thing that I've accomplished in my life that people think is impressive or I'm very proud of is something that was preceded by a very, very, very long period of people telling me either no, I couldn't do that, or getting rejection. Every audition I went in to New York City, I would take a train. The train wasn't as fast as it was these days. It was about an hour into the city. Sometimes I'd go in the snow, in the rain, in the cold weather. I'd commute in, I'd go in, I'd wait in a half-hour line to audition. I was like 13, 14 years old, going in alone. They'd go, "Thank you." I'd walk out, do the whole thing home. And it was very, very, very humbling. But it was kind of a good education early on in being unstoppable. And rejection is something I got very used to. I want to read you something that I stumbled across that I thought was apropos. He failed in business in 31. He was defeated for state legislature in 32. He tried another business in 33. It failed. His fiancée died in 35. He had a nervous breakdown in 36. In 43, he ran for Congress and was defeated. He tried again in 48 and was defeated again. He tried running for the Senate in 55. He lost. The next year, he ran for vice president and lost. In 59, he ran for the Senate again and was defeated. And finally, in 1860, Abraham Lincoln was elected the 16th President of the United States. The difference between history's boldest accomplishments and its most staggering failures is often simply the diligent will to persevere. And that's really my biggest secret, is that you can't fail if you don't give up. I started auditioning, I went to Northwestern, I graduated, I wanted to be a filmmaker, I wanted to be an actor. I came here and I was working as a production assistant on music videos. This was back in the day, 97, where music videos were huge. I mean, we had MTV really played music videos. You guys don't remember that, but before whatever the hell it is they do now, they used to show music videos. And so I was a production assistant on these videos. It was very, very hard work. You have to lug all the gear. I remember I worked on a Mariah Carey video called Up on the Roof. And the whole thing was shot on a roof in Brooklyn, and we had to lug all this gear up all night long, up to the top of this roof. It was so heavy, all the gear, tables, film equipment, up to shoot so she could make her song up on the roof. I remember turning to my fellow PA and saying, I hope her next song is called In the Lobby. Thank you. But it was a lot of work, and simultaneously I was auditioning. No one would hire me. Nothing happened. Finally, I got a little small movie called The Broken Hearts Club. I was out in Los Angeles. The movie didn't pay me any money. I was out in Los Angeles waiting tables. And I remember the film I was in was at a movie theater, and a little small movie theater, but I had no money, I had $1 in my name. And people would go see the movie, and then they'd come to the restaurant where I was a waiter for dessert. And they do sort of a double take. They said, we just saw your movie. And I said, oh, thank you very much. And they said, you were really good. And I said, oh, thank you. Well, let me tell you our specials. Only in Hollywood can you go see a movie and then have one of the stars of the movie wait on you for dessert. But it was humbling. Again, not getting any work, waiting tables, working as a production assistant, doing all these things. My first audition for Scrubs was here in New York, and it didn't go well at all. I didn't even get a call back. It was so bad, they told me, that they didn't even really send the tape out to LA. I just didn't get it. I probably wasn't prepared. I probably had gone out in New York City the night before. In fact, I had, extensively. And so when I got back to Los Angeles, I realized my agent said, go in again. You know, it was so bad they didn't even see it, so go in again. I auditioned 6 times for Scrubs. Each time going back and back and back and back and back. And then, and finally I got it. And it was the culmination of something that had been in the works since I was 13 years old, finally getting this major role. But I had my eye on the prize. I was like, okay, that's step 1. I want to make a movie. I want to make this movie about the town I grew up in, Maplewood in South Orange, New Jersey, and I'm going to call it Garden State. Thank you. There's a shot, if you haven't seen the movie, there's a shot of your high school in it. You should see the movie. It should be required, I think, if you're supposed to. Again, I took out my script, Garden State. Every single person passed on it. No one wanted to make Garden State. There's not a person in Hollywood who has a desk and a phone who didn't say no, they had no interest in making Garden State. But I just kept going. I was like, okay, what's next? Who's next? Who's next? Finally, I met a guy who wasn't even in the film business. And he said, you know, I don't know anything about making movies. He had a lot of money, and he was my sugar daddy. The budget for the film initially was $6 million, and the idea was he was going to split it with someone. And he said to me, look, I don't know anything about the film industry. The business seems really bizarre to me. If there's any way you can make this movie for $3 million, I'll just pay for the whole thing myself. And I said, give me a moment. And we went back and reworked the entire thing to make it affordable for what turned out to be $2.5 million. And the movie, domestically at least, has gone on to gross over $30 million and became a ginormous success, preceded by not a single person that I ever ran into in Hollywood who wanted to make it. The soundtrack, when I made the soundtrack, everyone told me, you're never going to get those artists. Why are you wasting your time? You have a little tiny movie. Nobody's going to say yes. You have no money to pay them. They're big, famous artists. I said, I don't care. I'm going to find a way. I just didn't take no for an answer. I had every single person on that soundtrack to say yes. It won a Grammy. I won a Grammy, and it went platinum for selling over 1 million copies.